Hello again, this is Mark Summers from Summers Technical Services. This is the CAD model that we built in class today, and I was going to go back over it and rebuild it and put it on a YouTube video channel so you could see it play back and pause and such when you're trying to figure out how to use Solidworks. So again, the rules are we want to put the planes in the same location as the datums. So the top plane is datum A, so it needs to be on the bottom. The right plane is the left side of the part here. That's where we put datum B. And the front plane needs to be the back face, which is datum C. And so when we do a space bar, hit an ISO view, that's the orientation of the picture in the slides. So this is what orientation wants to be. Again, make sure that your sketches are all fully constrained, and make sure you assign a material. Make sure the dimensions are all correct, and you can check your volume and your mass to make sure you built your part model correct by hitting evaluate mass properties, and you'll get all the mass properties for your part. All right, so let's start over and build it again. So I'm going to close this one, say File New. If you don't see your templates, that means you haven't set up your templates correctly, and you need to go back and watch the video again to set those templates up. It's going to start off being over here. When you hit the Advanced tab, you'll see these templates that are available for our class. If you don't see this, you have to stop, go back and watch the video to learn how to set up the templates. So I'm going to choose an inch part template since the part is in inches, and I'm going to say OK. So I've got a blank model, I've got my three planes, and I've got my origin, and I'm going to start building my part model. So my front plane is my most descriptive view of the part, so I'm going to sketch on that plane first. So I'm going to select the plane, go to the Sketch tab, hit the Sketch button. Since I pre-selected the front plane, it'll jump me into the sketch mode as soon as I hit the Sketch button, and I can start doing my 2D sketch. So I click there, boom, I'm inside a sketch. I know I'm inside a sketch because that button's pushed in up here. I've got these two over here, these indicators. I can leave the sketch, save what I've done. I can leave the sketch and not save what I've done. And I can tell I'm in a sketch because I got my rollback bar, and there's a sketch I'm working on. So I'm going to build from this bottom left corner. So I'm going to use the pull down next to the rectangle, and I'm going to choose a corner rectangle right there. I want my planes to be the top plane and the right plane, so I'm going to start right here at the origin, click over here, and then approve and say OK. So now my top plane, that's the bottom of my part. The right plane is that left edge of the part, and then I'm sketching on the top plane. So now I need to put some dimensions on here. I want to put a dimension for the overall height. That's 2.5. And instead of doing another 2.5 dimensions, since my design intent is this is always going to be a square, then I'm going to make these two lines equal. So I'm going to select that line, control click that line, and I've got both lines in the blue box, and I want to say make those equal. There's a new constraint right there, indicates those are equal length, and I'll say OK. Everything is black, it says fully defined. And when I get out of that sketch, the minus sign is going to be gone. So now I've got my first sketch. If I want to go edit the sketch, I right click on the sketch and hit the edit sketch button. That'll send me back into the sketch. And when I'm done, I'm going to hit the return and get back out of the sketch. While we're talking here, let me talk about how to manipulate your model. Definitely need to have a mouse with a zoom wheel. I roll my mouse wheel in and out to zoom in and out. Wherever my mouse is, when I roll a mouse in and out, that's where it zooms in and out of. So if you want to zoom in to your sketch, if you have your mouse over here, it's going to zoom off the screen. If you lose it and you can't find where it's at, if you double click on the middle mouse wheel, it'll pull it back full screen for you. So wherever you want to zoom into, if I want to zoom into this corner, I want to put my mouse here and roll the wheel in, and it'll zoom in on that corner. If you want to pan, you hold down the control button, push and hold your middle mouse wheel. That pans. And if you want to rotate your part, you press and hold the middle mouse wheel and rotate, and you can spin it around. And if you get lost, hit the space bar. You can get your top, front, side views, and then you get your isometric view by pushing that button. All right, I've got my sketch done, so I'm going to select the sketch. I always like to pre-select the geometry and then select the command. So I pre-select the sketch. I'm going to go to my feature tab, and I'm going to say extrude boss base. And I want it to come out this way because that plane needs to be on the back face. And that dimension is 2.5. And I say OK, and now I'm getting going on my part. You want to save this thing early and often. So I'm going to save it right now. I'm going to say File, Save As. And I'm in my folder. I'm in the folder here. And this is the file name I gave it a minute ago. So I'm going to name it TSU 101, class ID, student ID, and there's the assignment number. So I'm going to write over that other one I did in class. I'm going to say OK, save. I want to replace it. There we go. So save often, save it to your U drive, like I showed you how to do in class. Now I want to start whittling this thing away like we did with that 3D printed part. I'm just going to take away a chunk at a time. So the first piece I want to take off is this front piece. So I'm going to sketch on this top face. So I'm going to pre-select that face, hit the sketch tab, hit the sketch command. Now it spins it around. I'm looking straight into the top of the part, and I'm sketching on that top face. If you don't like these shadows, I can't stand the shadows, you can hit this button here, the display manager. You can hit this third button down here, and if you right click on scene, you can turn off floor reflection and you can turn off floor shadow. I like that better. Now I'm going to go back to the feature manager. Now I've got my tree back and I've got my commands back. Now I'm going to do my sketch. I'm going to do another corner rectangle. I want to whack off this front corner here, the front piece here. So I'm going to click that corner, let go, drag over here. I'm going to click over here on this edge. Now my sketch is constrained. I'm going to say OK. Now my sketch is all black here because it's constrained to the edges of the part. And all I need to do now is add a dimension. So I'm going to go to Smart Dimension, select that line, place that dimension. And at this point I'm guessing at the dimensions. I think it's 1. Approve that dimension. My sketch is fully defined. Everything turned black. The minus sign is gone on the sketch. So I'm ready to get out of the sketch. I'm going to do a space bar and do an isometric view. And I'm going to pre-select the sketch. Features. Now I'm going to do an extrude cut. I want to cut away that material. So I select extrude cut. And I want it to go down, what is it, 1.5 inches? I think that's right. And I approve it. OK. If I want to change the direction, I flip the arrow. It's going up. I don't want that. I'll click it again. Going down. That's what I want. Say OK. There's my sketch is inside the feature. The sketch gets consumed into the feature. And if you want to see the sketch, you hit the arrow. You want to edit the sketch, right click, edit sketch. You can change the dimensions and the constraints. Once you get out of the sketch, now you're back in feature mode. Do a space bar, do another isometric view. Now let's whittle away this piece on the front. So I can sketch on this face and extrude cut down through, or I can sketch on this face and extrude cut inwards, whatever that is, 1/2 inch. I think I'll select on this face, cut down. So I'm going to go select that face, go to the sketch tab, click on sketch, and it's going to spin it around. Now I'm sketching on this top face. Do another rectangle. Make sure it connects to that edge. See the little icon pops up there? If I click right there, that means that sketch is going to be on that edge. If I make a mistake and click here, and then click over here, now it didn't get that constraint. But I can go add it back since I missed it. I can select that line. If you want to select more than one entity at a time, after you select the first entity, you get it for free, but you got to hold down the control button to select the next entity. So I'm going to hold down my control button, hit that edge right there. Now in my box I've got that edge and I've got that line, and I want those to be collinear. So now I've got that constraint back. I approve that, the green checkbox. Now that line is on that edge. Now I need some dimensions, and I always want a dimension from the datums. There's my B datum right there. So I want to say smart dimension between here and here. That's going to be my 0.5. And from here, also dimensioning from the datum from here to here, that's going to be 1.5. Nope, 2.5. That looks better. Nope, third try will get it. Make it 2. There we go. Now am I done? No, because I've still got blue lines. I've got underdefined, got a minus sign. I'm not interested in losing 5 points. So I want to come in here and add that last dimension. Smart dimension from here to here. Place the dimension, 0.5. Now it's fully constrained. I'll get out of the sketch, spacebar isometric view, pre-select the sketch, feature, extrude cut. I could make it extrude cut 1 inch, but if I ever change the height of this feature, then it would not cut all the way through if I made that taller. So my design intent is for that thing to cut all the way through all the time. So I want to change my option from blind to through all. Now, no matter what this height of this feature is here, it'll always cut all the way through the part. And that's my design intent. All right. Now I need to do what? I need to draw my hole. So I'm going to use my favorite command, which is this hole wizard. Hole wizard. You answer questions top to bottom about the type of hole you want, and then we'll go to the next tab, positions, and we'll locate the hole. So the first option is up here. I can hover over these and see what they are. There's a counter bore, there's a counter sink, there is a straight tap. I've got lots of different options. I just want a plain Jane hole. And that button right there says hole, so I'm going to push that. And now I've got options for what standard I want to use. I'm using inch units, so I want to use ANSI inch standard. I could use ISO metric. I want to use ANSI inch. Next question, I'm answering questions top to bottom. Next question is what type of hole. I could do screw clearance holes. I could do a lot of things. I want a fractional drill size. It's 3/4 inch hole. I just want to pick a 3/4 inch drill size. So I'm going to use that as an option. The next pull down is the size. It's all nice fractions here. So I'm going to go roll up and down here till I find 3/4. And there's some default options. I want it to go all the way through, which is true. I want it to start here and go all the way through. So I think I've answered all the questions on this tab. I'm going to go to the second tab, which is positions, and read what it says. It says do one of the following. Select the face for the hole or slot. So I'm going to select that face right there. Now I'm sketching on that face, and it's asking me, where do I want the hole? Well, I want to click on the screen and get it close, and I have to go back and edit that sketch later. So I'm going to click right there, and that's my 1 point, and I'll say OK. Now I've got my hole. It's the right size, but it's not in the right position. And I know that because of these sketches. So let's look at these other sketches. Each one of these each one of these features has a sketch that gets consumed into the feature. Lights are going off. All right. I'm going to open up this feature that I just made, this 3/4 inch hole wizard hole. This one has 2 sketches. One of them, it does automatically, it creates a sketch for the size of the hole. This one here is the one that locates the hole, and it's got the minus sign on it. So again, I'm not interested in losing 5 points on my assignment. So I'm going to edit this sketch and locate that hole, center of the hole, from the datums. So I'm going to right click, top left button is edit sketch. I want to go in here with smart dimensions. Right now it's a blue point, and it can go anywhere it wants. It's not constrained. So I'm going to come up here and say smart dimension. I want a dimension from the B datum, from that edge to the center of the circle. That needs to be half of 2.5. So I can type in 2.5 divided by 2. And when I hit enter, it'll calculate that number for me. So SolidWorks will help you that way. Now I need a dimension from datum A. So I'm going to select the bottom face. I want a dimension to this point again. And I want to place that dimension, and I think that needs to be a half. And now that sketch is fully constrained because it says so down here. Fully defined, everything is black. The minus sign is gone, so I can get out of the sketch, either pushing that button. Don't push that button, it'll leave the sketch and not save what I just did. I can either hit that button to get out of the sketch, or I can push that button to get out of the sketch. Now my hole is located and the sketch is fully constrained. Now it looks like the last thing I need are my chamfers. So I'm going to go use this pull down. It says fillet, but every time you get a pull down there, you get more options underneath it. So I'm going to go to fillet, I'm going to use the pull down, and I'm going to go to chamfer. It's asking for items to chamfer, so this is when you see a blue box, anything you click on is going to go in the blue box. So I want to chamfer this edge, and I want to chamfer that edge. And you can see I've got the edges in there. If I accidentally click another edge, I can right click on it and say delete. Now I've got those two edges. We'll leave all the defaults. I want to make the dimension 0.5 and make the angle 45 and then say okay, approve it. And there's my chamfers. So now I think I got my part done. I think I did all the dimensions right. The last thing to do is assign a material. So you're going to want to right click, edit material, and either choose a carbon steel, stainless steel, or aluminum, whatever you did on your drawing. Pick an alloy you like and assign it so you don't lose 5 points. Whoops, close that. And I'm going to do a space bar and do an isometric view. Now I'm going to check to make sure my planes are in the right spot. There's the top plane, there's datum A, that looks correct. There's my front plane, that was my datum C on that back face. And then the right plane is that left face there. And so I think I've made my model correctly. I can do evaluate mass properties again, and I can check my mass and my volume. If you don't have enough decimal places here, you want to see more decimal places, go to options and use document settings. I want to turn it off and use custom settings. I can make it inches or whatever I want to measure with. I'm going to leave it with inches, but I may put 4 decimal places. Mass is in pounds. I'm going to leave it on pounds. Volume, I want to be cubic inches. So that looks good, and I'm going to approve that. And now I get another decimal place over here. So you can check to make sure your volume is right. Density is based on the material. There's a center of mass. That makes sense. The x value is 1 1/4. This part is symmetric left to right. And if you look at the coordinate here, the x direction, x is 0 on the left side, because that's where the plane is. On the right side, x value is 2 1/2. This is symmetric about the middle plane, so I know the x component for the center of mass needs to be 1 1/4, so that looks correct. Y is up and down. I don't quite know where it is in the y direction because of these cutouts are not symmetric. Same thing with z, in and out this way. But that's where the center of mass is. Here's moments of inertia and principal axes, moments of inertia. It's got all this mass properties in there for you. So do a space bar, isometric view, save it as you go. I haven't saved it lately, so I've been risking it. Power's not gone off yet. So I'm going to turn this thing back like it is. Oh, I'm missing a feature here. I forgot to put the groove on the top. Oh my gosh. All right, let's go in here and put that in there. I'm going to go to sketch. I'm going to select that top face and say sketch. And I'm going to draw me another rectangle tied to that bottom edge. I'm going to click here on that edge. If I miss it, I'm not going to get that constraint. So I want to make sure I get that. See that yellow indicator? If I click right now, it's going to get that constraint for me automatically. I'll say OK. Now I just need a couple of dimensions from datum B to here. That needs to be, what does that need to be? Half. It needs to be 1 inch, I think. And this dimension on the drawing, this is one of the things I asked for. The width of the groove was critical. So we're going to dimension this just like we did on the drawing. rather than coming from the datum, because I specifically asking the instructions to make that width of that slot critical. So I want to make that 0.5. Now the sketch is fully constrained. I'll exit the sketch, spacebar ISO view, and now I'm ready to extrude cut. I want to grab sketch 6. I want to go to features. I want to do extrude cut, and it's going the correct direction, except I don't want to go through all this time. It remembers the last option I used. So I'm going to change this back to blind and make it 0.5, and then approve that. Now it looks like I'm done. File save, and now you can email your file to me and I'll grade it, and we'll go from there. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any more questions, stop by during office hours. Otherwise, we'll see you in class on Thursday. Thanks for watching.